Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Who is that?
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I got everybody unmuted right now unless we get some background noise that will require me to mute everybody. But how's everybody doing? Good evening. It's Thursday evening. 7 people in here tonight. Let me do a quick roll call here. I got Sharon in here twice. Sharon, good evening, twice.
Good evening.
Miss Ruth, Gigi, Ernest, and area code 404. I'm not sure who that is, but good evening to you as well. I was speaking on the phone to someone earlier from a Texas number, and hopefully that person is coming in tonight if they have some questions. I'm going to go over like a little bit of the life cycle of a dispatcher and the process. So before I do that, are there any preliminary questions that I can answer for you guys?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, who am I speaking with?
This is Mrs. Ernest. How are you?
Mrs. Ernest?
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you, ma'am?
I've been fighting with the flu for 3 weeks.
Uh-oh. Are you like congested and stuff like that?
Yeah, all of that. Coughing, just miserable.
Yeah. Some ginger tea with lemon and honey, and if you get some horseradish root from a produce section in the store, put that in a blender, and then just open the blender up and sniff that. That'll clear out all the mucus in your system.
All right, I'll have to try that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, that's an old grandma remedy. So.
Yeah, I've been doing the ginger and lemon already, but I never heard about that other one.
Yeah, the horseradish root. Yeah. So what's your question? I'm sorry, I didn't want to get off too far off topic.
Yeah, I was wanting to tune in, I think last week or the week before that, and ask about, you said you were going to walk us through how to find newly authorized MC carriers.
Okay.
I emailed you and told you that, I heard that you could do it on Quick Transport Solutions, but I could not figure out how to find, the owner ops that just got their brand new MC numbers.
The way that I do it through the Safer website, the FMCSA company snapshot. So can you guys see my screen? Everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen. And so let's see here. So we go to the...
Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi.
Okay, Sharon. Sharon with that big smile. All right, so a question was asked by, I think it was Mrs. Ernest, Mrs. Goodwin, I believe?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
About how to find the newer, Gigi says she cannot hear.
I can hear now.
Okay, all right, there you go. So a question was asked by Mrs. Goodwin, about how to find new carriers who have a new MC authority. So what that means is if someone who just became a truck driver, they just got their authority from the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, to run their truck either interstate or intrastate. The MC authority dictates that it's interstate. They can go over all 48 states and things like that. So What new means is like maybe a year or less, or even 6 months or less, that their MC authority became what's called active. So they cleared all the criteria and the qualifiers from the FMCSA, DOT, their insurance, everything, and they get qualified to become what's called as active. So the FMCSA keeps a register or a registry of those carriers who just became active within a certain amount of time, fairly new. So the point that Ms. Ernest is getting at is those will be good carriers to actually target for dispatching services because they're fresh, they're new, they may or may not know anything about the industry yet, and they're just getting their feet wet. So you, at the same time as a dispatcher coming in, can possibly provide a service and be a problem solver for them, you know, and thus grow at the same time. You can grow your dispatching business along with them growing their trucking company. But what you see here on the screen is the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration's company snapshot. It's a SAFER website. So this is an area that I'm going to navigate through. So I'm going to enter a DOT number or an MC number. Now, MC stands for Motor Carrier. DOT is the Department of Transportation, the U.S., United States Department of Transportation. And then the name is the name of the trucking company. So there's 3 ways in the search criteria area to look up a company, a trucking company, to get details about them. If you have their MC, you select the MC radio button and you enter their value here. If you have their MC number, you enter their value here, you select the MC radio button. Or if you know the name of the company and you don't know the MC or the DOT, then you enter their name in the value area. I have an MC number, so I want to select the MC radio button and then put the value in and then hit search. Now, I just put a formal company's name in here because you need to put some name in here before you go over to this area where I need to go to under the licensing and insurance area here. So I'm going to click that link. Now, up here at the top, under this menu area, right here, I'm going to hit the drop down, I'm going to select FMCSA Register. Okay, and I'm going to hit go. Right? Are you with me so far, Mrs. Ernest?
I am. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure you're following. And now it lists, it puts out reports in 2-week increments of changes that the FMCSA made, whether it relates to someone filing a new company name, whether they got the new MC authority, whether they've been suspended or anything like that. So there's different categories, and it puts it out in 2-week increments. So today is the 20th of February. So I'm going to click this PDF report for the most current registered report that the FMCSA submitted. Now, it's 102 pages. Now, we're not going to look through all this. We're going to go to a certain area that identifies those new carriers. So you might want to jot this down, though, this term to remember. I'm going to scroll down to it, and then you might want to jot it down. It's the fitness area. And I know when you hear fitness, you're thinking, like, are we talking about exercising? No, we're talking about dispatching. But that's the terminology. Remember, the SAFER website is, remember what SAFER stands for, right? So let's go back to, let me open up another tab. You hear the term fitness all the time. Safety and Fitness Electronic Records. That's what SAFER means. So you have fitness and non-fitness. So let me go back to here. And this stuff that I'm bypassing here, let me scroll back up so I can show you why I'm bypassing it. Because we're not looking for owner-operators who've changed the names of their company. We're looking for owner-operators who just got their authority. So this name change section, I'm going to scroll through. And then we come to another section. certificates of registrations, dismissals. We're not looking for those owner-operators whose authority or whose FF, it means freight forwarding. We're going to skip over those too because we're not dealing with freight forwarders right now. We're only dealing with trucking companies who have an MC number, a motor carrier number, okay? So let's scroll down past the dismissals area. Withdrawal of application at request. So these are people who are either freight forwarders or carriers who initially applied for an authority, either a freight forwarding authority or an MC authority or DOT, and then later on withdrew their application. So we're going to skip over this section because that's not the ones we're looking for. And then these are people whose requests were revoked, or their applications, I should say, was revoked. So we're going to skip over this area. Okay? And we are, just want to make sure I don't bypass the area that we need. We are, okay, so now we're at miscellaneous. So now we're going to, there's a space in between. Now we're at transfers. We're not dealing with the transfers. There's a space in between. Okay, so now we're here in the non-fitness area and in the fitness area. The one that we want to focus on is not non-fitness. It is actually fitness. The difference between the two is defined right here. Okay? So non-fitness motor carriers are, well, let me go back a little bit too. Someone who has an MC authority, there's different levels or different categories of an MC authority. There are 4 that I know of, and the one that we deal with are the common carrier authorities. So you have number 1, a common carrier MC authority. That's someone who can move freight all over the country for anyone, any brokerage. They're not tied to one specific company, things like that. Then you have, that's number 1 type of MC authority carrier. The second type is a contract carrier. Someone who has an authority but is a contracted, has a contracted MC authority is someone who's, they're tied specifically to a company. And then you have what's called a passenger authority. Those are the ones who drive, I don't know if you're familiar with the charter buses. We used to call them Chinese buses, where it takes you to New York and back wherever. Limousine drivers, taxi drivers, those they have, because you're carrying passengers as your cargo or your commodity in this case. And then that's number 3. So you have common carrier, contracted carrier, number 3, passenger carrier, and then the 4th one, common one, is called HHG, which is household goods. Household goods right here. So those are the moving companies. You see these large moving companies out here that are like the Covans or the Atlas moving companies. They move military families across the country, the larger moving companies with the tractor trailers. So those are they have to have a household goods authority, MC authority. The one that we are focusing on as independent freight dispatchers are common carrier authorities, the ones who have a common carriers. Okay? And under that, it would be motor carrier with a common carrier authority of everything except household goods. Okay, so we're in the non-fitness area right now. So I'm going to scroll down to the fitness section where we're going to focus on. Right here. So this is our area right here. So, and it applies to motor common and contracted carriers of property except household goods. So the important thing to note, if you're looking for new carriers with their MC authority, on this particular site, you want to scroll to the fitness area and search for common carriers of property except household goods. So when you look for them in here, I'm going to bypass the freight forwarder section under this particular category and go to straight to the MCs, right? So, because we're not dealing with freight forwarders, we are dealing with MCs right here. So you look here, interstate. Remember I said interstate and intrastate. What's the difference between an interstate common carrier authority except household goods and an intrastate common carrier authority except household goods? What's the difference between the interstate and an intrastate? If someone can answer that.
The interstate is just within the one state.
Intrastate is within the state that they are registered. Yeah, the state that they have their authority registered in, right? And then interstate is all over. They can touch all 48, as we used to say in the trucking industry. So when you're looking in this section, then you want to focus on, because you want your carrier. Now, unless you got a carrier that you want them to run just in like Texas, which is a big state, then you can consider intrastate and then keep them running in Texas. I mean, it depends on the equipment type. If it's a dry van, flatbed, or reefer, if loads are good in that one big state like Texas, for example, for a specific equipment type, you may potentially be able to keep them running back and forth from let's say, let me open up a map here, give you a bird's eye view of the state of Texas, and depending on, especially if you're starting off as a new dispatcher, you get familiar with the 3 equipment types that we focus on this platform. So Texas is pretty big. You can conceivably run a person from Houston over here to Odessa and back down to Laredo up to Dallas. You can conceivably keep a person running, but as a beginner dispatcher, I think it's good to focus on interstate carriers when you're starting out, because that way you increase your likelihood of finding good loads, because the loads are all over the country, not just in the state of Texas. You may not find a load for that particular day that person needs a load just in their state. You may have to go outside of their state. But if they only have an intrastate authority, they cannot do that. So finding beginning carriers, let's focus on interstate common, not contract. I just highlighted that, but interstate common carriers except household goods. So if you write that down, if you're looking in this area, if you write this down, this is what you probably need to remember. Interstate, because that means so let's break it down. Interstate, that means they can go all over the country, all the states. Common carrier, they can move loads for any broker, any shipper, right? Common and carrier. And then except household goods, they're not moving companies, so they can move everything except the household goods. Okay, so now you have options here. You have, okay, this person here, interstate common carrier except household goods, this person here. So you have their information here, their phone number, their MC authority. The only thing that I do not like about this, I love this feature because you find new authorities, but the only thing I don't like is you do not know their equipment type. So when you call them, you would need to ask them what their equipment type is, and then you can consider if you want to run loads for them based off of their equipment type. Okay? If you have a question or comment, you can unmute yourself. I'm going to mute a few people because I'll hear some background noise, but it's cool. All right? So what I would do is I would look up the person's information and go from there on this resource right here. Now, another resource, it may not be for new carrier authorities, but you can kind of get some information from, is the in our back office for members who are subscribed members, they have access to the DAT Truckers Edge load board. On that load board, we have what's called a DAT directory. Okay? So when you first log in, this is one of the load boards that's on the platform for subscription-based members. You first log in, this is the load board. You go up here to this orange left-hand side, and you select the drop-down for tools, and then you select DAT directory, okay? Now, when this opens up, you have a series of 4 tabs, right? Carrier Watch, Manage Reputation, My Office, and the tab that opens up by default is Search Directory. So under Search Directory, you want to select Research New Business Partners, okay? So we click that link. You notice these are links. Click the link. It's going to open up right here, this section right here. I leave company name blank. Under company type, I'm looking for carriers, so I'm only going to select carrier. Someone give me a city and state.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, that's close to me. I used to live in Charlotte.
So did I.
Yeah, I stayed off of Freedom and Tuckasegee over there.
Oh Lord, I was off of W.T. Harris.
Oh Lord, don't start. Don't start now. You can't finish. All right, Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's say a radius. So Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's go to our trusted map. Let's scroll back over here to our map. So Charlotte, North Carolina is right here. Let's put a radius of, let's say, 200 miles, and we'll sort by company name. We're looking for carriers in that area. We're going to hit search, right? It's going to come up. Your search has resulted in more than 500 matches. So we got 500 carriers right here, right? Or companies, or, you know, so I'm going to go to the map, Charlotte, and then within a 200-mile radius. So it's going to spill over into South Carolina. It may reach up to the southern part of Virginia to 200-mile radius, right? So that's 200-mile radius. Okay, so let's go back. So now we got over 500 results. So we got all these results. Scroll, scroll, scroll. So you would select each one. You click your mouse, and then in this area here, it's going to open up more detailed information about it. So I'm going to click it for ANA Transport and Storage Inc. Now here's the data about ANA Transport Inc. You can print out a PDF on them. You can print their profile, get a PDF version of them. Here's their MC, so you can go to Safer, snatch their MC and look them up. Here's the general information about them. They are their entity type. They are a carrier. They are authorized for property, so that means they're common. They're interstate. See all this data? Here's their DOT. They have 2 power units and 3 drivers. So they have 2 tractors and 3 drivers. Let's see, Mike asked a question here. Did Trucker Edge can their format? Did Trucker Edge can their format for searching loads? I'm not sure I'm quite understanding that question, Mike. So right here, the commodity. Now another thing about that directory, it kind of helps you a little bit in understanding what equipment type they may have based off of the commodity that they haul. So what commodity means is the type of freight that you're hauling. What goods are loaded on that trailer that they're carrying. That's what a commodity is. That's what the freight is. So when you're calling a broker and you're booking a load for one of your carriers, you're going to ask the broker, well, what's the commodity? Because your carrier wants to know what they're hauling, because some carriers may not haul certain things on their truck for obvious reasons. Like, for example, if I have a reefer carrier that I have under a dispatcher agreement, he may not want to haul certain types of things on his reefer truck, like poultry, like live chickens or wet stuff that could stain his truck, and he has to pay extra money to have it cleaned out. So there's certain things carriers learn over time not to put on their trailers or on their flatbeds, things like that. So here, commodity is general freight, metal, sheet, coil, rolls, chemicals, beverages, building materials, paper products. So based off of commodity, we can kind of estimate or guesstimate the trailer or the actual equipment type or the type of trailer that they're using to haul Any ideas? So we got general. So of the three major ones that we focus on, the dry van trailer, the flatbed trailers, and the refrigerated trailers, the equipment types, you got paper products. I'm sorry, somebody spoke. I couldn't hear him though.
I'm saying it would be a dry van.
It could be a dry van because you got general freight, you got paper products, and maybe beverages and rolls, but it could be something else too, because metals, sheet, coils, rolls, building materials. Sometimes those flatbeds, right? And in the case of beverages, it depends on if it's real cold. It could be reefers, but generally beverages could be the dry vans. So based off of the commodity that's listed for a particular trucking company, you can kind of tell what their equipment type is. Okay, so this is another resource to use. This is particularly for those members who have access to this, who are enrolled into the platform. Okay, Gigi said, should we ask the condition of the trailers? I've heard that some shippers will not load the carrier if the trailer had work done in it. Now, yeah, when you first, I guess you could, but it really, the carriers, we're dealing mainly with the brokers. You may deal with direct shippers, and then some shippers do qualify certain carriers' equipment types. They'll say it can't be no later than a 2012 or 2013 trailer. They don't want to haul anything older, you know. So yeah, I get your question. So yes. So the older the trailer, the less likely they may, especially if it's a flatbed. Like if you got a flatbed with a wooden floor or an aluminum floor, it depends what you're hauling, whether you're hauling coils, metal, things like that. So yes. So Miss Ernest, Mr. Goodwin, did this help a little bit? This the registry and the DAT directory here. Let me see if she's still with me. While I'm seeing that, does anyone have any? Let me see if I can unmute her. Miss Ernest? She's still with me, but no sound. That's fine. Okay. Any other questions on those lines there? All right. Let's see what this question is. Yes, there are different ways to look up carriers. One of the common ways that everyone uses, of course, is there's a standard way for Trucker's Path that we use, and here is Trucker's Path, and this is also on the platform for access. This is another load board in addition to 123 load board, Internet Truck Stop, DAT Trucker's Edge. Here's Trucker's Path. This is another one. But there is a truck search feature on Trucker's Path that we can search for carriers under. Right here. And in the trainings, we emphasize the three major equipment types: dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers, because those are the ones that are out here prevalent today moving the loads. We always want to reiterate that because we want to increase the likelihood of you, number one, getting a good carrier, and then number two, getting a good load, because those loads are prevalent. Okay, Robert. Can you unmute yourself, Robert? I'm not understanding. You said screen? I see Robert said screen, but I want to make sure I'm understanding what he's saying, what he's asking. You there, Robert? Here's Trucker's Path, and if you were looking for truck drivers, I would use this as a resource, as one resource. Click the truck search link here. You'll come up to this gray search box area. Now this is spinning because it's going to come up with a number of carriers who are, this software shows is 234 carriers currently logged in right now who have an account with Truckers Edge right now, who are looking, they're looking on here either to post their truck as being available and empty, or they're just up here looking to see what's out here for a load or anything like that. Okay? So I'm going to filter, I'm going to leave all states selected unless I have a particular state that I want to target, then I'll leave all states selected. I'm going to select the equipment types as, I'm going to uncheck any to deselect everything, and then I'm going to choose the three major equipment types that we can find loads for out here: flatbeds, vans, and reefers. Okay? And then I'm going to select the safety as rating as only satisfactory. So now, does everyone understand why I did this search criteria before I hit the blue bar search? Why I did it like that? Everybody has an idea? Okay. So I'm going to hit search. Okay. And that 234 obviously is going to get smaller because I changed the search criteria to less of the options here. Okay? So now 234 turned into 127. So now, here we go. We have 100, so now as a dispatcher, you can read this as this. This person searched, they posted 1 minute ago, EMR Express Incorporated, the company, posted their reefer equipment type, which has a satisfactory safety rating. Coincidentally, all of them do because we only selected satisfactory. The person's name, now this could be the owner of this company or it could be a company driver for this company, and a phone number. And if you notice at the end of each line, you have the blue drop-down window, and it opens up more data about that specific company. So if I undo this one and do the next one, it does the exact same thing. Okay? So what I do is I also kind of vet out the carriers to make sure that they are not already a part of a brokerage, because I don't want to double broker. Double brokering is if I call a carrier looking for, if I get a carrier under an agreement, but they're already an asset under a brokerage, and then I call another broker trying to book a load for them for a carrier who's under a brokerage, then that's double broker. That's a no-no. So to vet out that process to make sure that they're not part of a brokerage, in the company snapshot area, I want to make sure that their entity type is just a carrier. So I go back, and to do that, I'm going to either grab the name of their company, their MC or DOT number. In this case, it's a DOT number, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to the snapshot, select the DOT radio button, and put that value in there and hit search. So right here, this carrier entity type says he's a carrier only. He has 2 power units and 2 drivers. So each person is one driver per truck. There's 2 trucks, 2 drivers. So it's a small company. They're based in South Carolina. Right now, they currently are in Los Angeles. So they're out in Los Angeles. They may be trying to get home. So you would call that person and try to get them to sign up for a dispatcher agreement, to run the script by them and go from there. So has anyone started calling carriers? Okay, he's not picking up. How did it go, Jacqueline? Jacqueline said she did. You tried to call the carrier. How did it go? How did that conversation go?
It went good. The guy, he told me that he was home and he wouldn't be looking to leave out for the next couple of days. So I sent him over the information.
Okay, the dispatcher agreement and the profile.
Mhm.
Okay. So where is home for him?
I think he was in Ridgeville, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
You said Ridgefield?
Yeah, Ridgeville.
Ridgeville. And what equipment type did he have?
He didn't go into detail. He said he was tired and he'll be home for the next couple of days, and he's not looking to leave out anytime soon. So.
Well, where did you get his information from? Off of Trucker's Path? Do you remember his? Because when you look on there, it usually shows the equipment type. So let's say he was a dry van. Let's just. And let's say he was a dry van. You said Ridgeville, South Carolina. I'm going to make sure that that's the city in there. And then I'll put van, and he's not looking to go out for a few days. Let's say Monday he's looking to go out, because today is Thursday. He probably want to spend the weekend with family. So let's do a quick search and see if Ridgeville comes up. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so assuming that he had, so this is what you would do next. If he had a dry van and he's out of Ridgeville, South Carolina, you would look for, and he wanted to go out Monday. So let's edit this, because it's 326 loads right now. It groups in the first 10. It's 326. So I'm going to change that grouping from 10 to, let's say, 200, so I can see more of the loads, right? So expand that a little bit, and then I'm going to click the rate link to put it in order of highest paying to lowest paying, so I can get the highest paying load at the top. So I can kind of like filter out. So 4,000. Now I'm also going to edit, which is right here, edit this search, and change the pickup date to the 24th, which is this coming Monday. So kind of like filter out all the other days because I see dates of the 20th and of the 21st, what have you. So I'm going to change the pickup date to the 24th, and I'm going to update the search and close. So now 326 probably gets smaller. Look, that shrunk to 94. So I'm going to change that criteria. Since it's 94, I'm going to change it to 100, and it still should be the same. Okay. So now we got. Now, when you were conversating with this person, Jacqueline, did he happen to tell you, or did you ask him how much cents per mile was he looking for?
I didn't even ask, and he didn't even say anything. So what I was going to do was wait probably till tomorrow, either Saturday, give him a call back.
Okay.
And see, did he even look over the information?
Okay. So let's say for the sake of this exercise, he wanted $2 a mile, at least. The least he'll take for a load is $2 a mile. Okay. So now you just look at the loads, you see what they're paying and what their loaded miles are. So definitely this is not going to be $2 a mile. 3,400 going 2,600 miles. That's too many miles for that low amount of money. That's ridiculous. This is over $2 a mile. Savannah, Georgia up to Jersey. If you break out the calculator, right? That'll be $14.50 by 712. Now this is a gross amount, right? You haven't factored in his fuel, and it's not really our job to do that. The carrier's going to factor in his own fuel costs. They know what fuel they're paying. They know, they got to pay you anywhere between 5 and 10%. 5 to 10% of the dispatching fee, and that's of the gross amount of the load. So that's of the $14.50, not after expenses is paid, then pay you. It's a gross. So whatever load amount you book that load for, that's the percentage that you're going to get from it. So if it's 10% of $14.50, then you're getting $145. Okay, that's for others to hear too. Most people. I had a person ask about the do we wait to get paid after the expenses is paid? So did you get a name? Robert asked, did you get a name of the company, his company?
I didn't write it down. I just wrote down I know his name was Brian, and I have his email address.
Okay. So let's go to Trucker's Path again. Let me update. Well, not update, but refresh. Because it's been 11 minutes. I want to see who submitted a minute ago or so. So yeah, those preliminary, when dispatchers are calling, like when we're calling the carriers, it's good to get a few preliminary questions so we can. And I know this guy here was probably tired, didn't really want to talk at the time, which is understandable. He could have been driving. We don't know his situation, so he could have been driving on the road doing his thing. So let's look up EMR and see what because he's up here 3 times. So let's look up Mr. Glover, Morris Glover. He's a reefer carrier, and see. Okay, it's a DOT number, and see if he is a candidate. Okay, I'm not gonna. So he's part of a larger group. I'm not gonna, because they probably already have 93. They probably already have their own internal. We want to when first starting off. I need to make that point too. When first starting off as beginner dispatchers, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You want to focus on like 5 or less trucks to start off with. So let's see here, Gabriel Cosma. Oh, let me call one of my reefer guys who told me to call him and see what he wants. We can hear a conversation with him. It's not Smooth. It's someone else who actually called me, and he was in. Let's see, Francis Continue.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 9165113.
He'll call me back. Okay, so Gabriel Cosmo has a reefer. Let's see what, and I think he has an MC and a DOT, so he may be a one-man team, a 1-and-1. So let's look his MC up. The 1-and-1. He's a carrier. He's one man. He's in Texas. And where is he now? He is in Tennessee. So all right, so let's see what's going on with Mr. Gabriel Cosma. Hello, can I speak to Gabriel, please?
Yes, this is Gabriel.
How you doing, Gabriel? My name is Charles from Exodus Dispatch. I'm trying to see if you're under a load or looking for a load for your reefer.
I'm sorry. If I'm looking for load right now?
Yeah, are you under? Do you have a load now? Are you looking for a load later on, or if you're not empty?
No, I don't need the load today and tomorrow.
So you're under load. When will you be empty?
I'm under the load, and Saturday I already have a lineup another load.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Where do you normally run when you do have loads? Where do you normally stay at? Not run your loads.
Midwest to South Texas.
That's your main lanes that you run, Midwest to South Texas?
Yes, I am based in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, okay, I got you. So you want to run up to the Midwest and then go back home?
Yes, correct.
What do you do, like 1-and-1s?
Oh, no, if it's a good pay, I can do 3, 4, 5.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, if it's a good pay, usually I'm doing 3, 4.
Okay, three picks, 4 drops, something like that?
Yeah, depends on everything, depends on the rate.
Okay. What's the least cents per mile are you getting? Like $3 a mile?
Somewhere between 250 and
250 and 3. That's the going rate. And
yeah, I mean, if it's 3 if it's 1 pick or 3 picks, 1 drop or 1 drop, 3 pick. If it's 2 and 2 or 3 or 3, yeah, it goes over $3.
Okay. And you're willing to do like more than a 1-and-1.
That's fine. As far as I get the right price, that's fine. You know.
Okay. I'll keep your information. I got your information off of Truckers Path, Truckloads. I just saw your phone number and email. So if I come across anything, I can discuss it with you.
Okay.
And
what's your percentage?
We do anywhere from 7 to 10%, and what we try to do is we try to negotiate that rate into the broker's side, so the money's coming from the broker side and not coming out of your pocket. So, for example, let's say I charged you 10%, and I found a load that was $3,000, right? I will go back to the broker, and 10% of $3,000 is $300. So I'm going to negotiate the rate up from $3,000 to $3,300 to cover my cost of my service, and you keep your $3,000. You see how I did that?
Okay.
So
if it's like that, we can try it out.
Yeah. We try to be fair. I'm trying to get more money out of the broker's pocket and keep more money in the carrier's pocket.
Well, they charge the people a lot of money, so.
Yeah, exactly. So you already know. So I tell you what. I can send one of my dispatchers your way, and they can talk to you, and but that's how we work. So.
Well, look, I am covered all the way to Wednesday next week.
Okay. So Wednesday next.
I already have a 3 loads lining up. So
Okay.
I am right now near Nashville. I'll pick up a load tomorrow night. I'm delivering Ohio. From Ohio, going to Michigan. From Michigan, I'm coming back to Smyrna, Tennessee for the 26th around 2 p.m. So if we can talk Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe we can go from there, because until that I am booked.
Okay.
I got confirmation. I have people that I'm working with
Okay.
all the time.
Okay.
But from Nashville, I'm gonna look for something going to go home, because it will be a second week out.
Okay, so you only like to stay out. You only like to stay out 2 weeks at a time.
We basically are out there. Yeah, I mean I cannot do one week round trip. There's no more. You cannot do something like that anymore. It used to be, but not anymore.
Okay, and then where in Texas you said you were based?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay, and
South.
okay, so in Nashville, Tennessee, going back towards San Antonio, you trying to look for something?
It's San Antonio, Temple, it's HEB distribution center, Walmart, New Braunfels, San Antonio. It's a big town, and it has a lot of distribution centers, which is Labatt, HEB, Cisco, a lot of stuff. I can go there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna try to get home by next weekend.
Okay.
Actually, I have to renew my plates. Expire on the 29th.
Oh, okay. Your portion. Yeah, a portion place. Yeah. Okay. So I would so I'll look for something. I'll give you a call, or I have someone reach out to you, and I got your information and what you need and how you want to get home. So that's the number one part, understanding how you want to run. So.
So we can try it on. Let me know. To call me Tuesday, then maybe we can line up to try it out on something for Wednesday.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
All right, Gabriel. Be safe out there.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right. Okay, guys. Any feedback on that? Any feedback? Someone can unmute yourself. I see a lot of chatting right here. I was going to have you guys unmute yourself. Somebody say, are you ready? Charles is good at getting them to engage.
Once you finish reading those, I do have a question.
So I guess if you're asking leading questions, you can get more out of the conversation. You go, yeah, you pretty much feed into the conversation. I'm driving to listen, let them want me to holler at them. Okay. Yeah, Mike. Mike, I throw him your way, Mike. Who has the question?
Gigi.
Hey, Gigi. Okay.
Okay, so I'm getting the basis of how to find a carrier and sending out the carrier agreement and the profile, and making a file on them and then finding them a load. So when you jotted down his information, how are you going to go about putting it together to make sure when you call him back that you still hit on the points that he was trying to cover, as far as where he wanted to go, how far out, how long he wanted to be out, and that kind of thing? Do you have like a sheet, or you just jot it down?
Right now I got a notebook in front of me. I do it raw. There's nothing specialized about it, right? I do it raw. I'm not going to tell you anything different. I write it down because I literally don't have time to like itemize it like that. So as he's talking to me, I'm writing it down, and then I'll formulate it, make it more formal at a later date. But I want to get as much detailed information from him as possible while I got him on the phone and while he is engaging. That's what's the important part. He's engaging. I asked some leading questions, and then I sat back and listened. So he started conversating. You know, he wants to be home. He's been out 2 weeks at a time. So I'm writing things down. He says he's booked all the way up to Wednesday. He's going to be empty in Nashville. He said call him Tuesday. We can try something in. So right now, I told Mike I'll give it to him, so I'm assuming what Mike is probably doing is on the load board looking at, okay, let's go to a load board real quick and say, okay.
I'm sorry. I have a question.
Yes.
So are you going to be looking to get him out of Nashville and back down to his area? Is that where he said his last stop? Because basically it's kind of like based on what he's saying, he's running from his area to Midwest. That's his preference of where he wants to run. And like you said, he wants to be home, like he'll run every 2 weeks. So since he talked about Nashville, is that his last drop off? So are you going to get him a back haul from Nashville?
Correct, because he's going to be empty Wednesday in Nashville, and he's trying to get back down towards San Antonio by the following weekend, because he'll be empty next week Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 3 days to get a load from Nashville. It shouldn't take 3 days to get from Nashville to San Antonio. That should take like a day and a half. So we may find him a load down to, like, let's say Mississippi and then over to San Antonio, or a load to Arkansas to San Antonio within that 3 day period. We may find him 2 loads in 3 days. But yes, that's the idea. He likes to run Midwest, which is these states here: Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, and then he's out 2 weeks at a time and then go back home. So this is a perfect candidate for a carrier, especially he's a reefer. When he told me he'll take, because I asked him, do you do 1-and-1s, because it's a reefer. In other words, what I mean by that 1-and-1, do you do 1 pickup and 1 delivery, 1 pickup and 1 drop? Or do you go to a receiver or a shipper, pick up 1 load and deliver to the receiver 1 time? He said, no, I do 3 and 4s, 4 and 3s. I can do 3 pickups, 4 drops, because he realizes the more pickups and the more drops that he does, and I keep saying picks and drops, so I don't want to confuse anybody. When you pick up loads, you're getting them from a shipper. When you deliver loads, you deliver them to a receiver. So he says he can do 3 picks, 4 drops. The more picks and drops you do as a reefer load, the more money you can make. So he could conceivably make in upwards of $4,000 or $5,000 per load, depending on how many picks and drops he has. So that's why he's willing to do it and stay out 2 weeks at a time. 2 weeks at a time, he could potentially make about anywhere between 15 and 20 grand. So, and then go back home and relax on the weekend. So what he said is, and I'm going to look now. I doubt if I find anything, but let's take a look. Some reefers can make $8,000 a week easy. Took a look at our load boards. Take a look. So let's do this. So he's going to be in Nashville, and I'm looking far out to next week Wednesday, Nashville, Tennessee, and he's a reefer, okay? Or a reefer is a refrigerated trailer, okay? It's a dry van trailer with a cooling unit on it, a TCU, a temperature control unit that keeps the freight inside of there, or the commodity that's being hauled, keeps it pre-cooled to a certain temperature. When you run reefer loads, sometimes you go to a shipper to pick it up, and if the booked load by a broker says it has to be pre-cooled continuously at a certain temperature, then that's what it needs to be when the doors are open when he goes to pick the load up. Otherwise, they're going to tell him to pull off the dock, get that temperature to the standard, and then pull back in. So, and then he said between $2.50 and $3 a mile. And so let's put Texas down as let's leave it blank. I know he wants to get to Texas by the weekend, but it's next week Wednesday. But let's just put that. Okay, I got some comments here. All right. So if you found something under his 250, will you discuss with him? He seems steady at 250. Right. And that's the job. Now, I would discuss it with him if he can't find anything else and he still needs to get home. Then he'll consider taking a load if he can't find anything else, because you don't want to drive home empty. You're not making any money. You're burning fuel. So if you can take something like, let's say, $210, $225, you're still making money. You're not making what you want to make. Now, he may have a reason why he's saying between $2.50 and $3 a mile. That may be his break-even or profit margin. If he makes that, then he knows after his expenses, if he's pulling in $2.50 a mile after he pays his expenses and everything, that $2.50 to $3 a mile mark makes him money. So let's go back to the load board and see here. So I did Tennessee anyway. I'm going to edit this and put the date that he needs to pick up in Tennessee or will be empty in Tennessee, which is next week, which is the 26th. So let's see what's going. There's 152 now. It may not be empty because it's still a far ways away. So there's 12 loads right now. Okay. Next week. Now, by the weekend and by the following Monday, this may grow, but this is a ways away because today is Thursday. Next week, Wednesday, is 6 days away. So I'm going to click this. So 3,200. So right now, Nashville, Tennessee, he even said Temple, Texas because of the distribution centers. So here's a load right here, 30,000 pounds, 1,400, 1,450, and 791. Now that's nowhere near what he wants, but it's getting him to his place. Now with Chop Tank, you can negotiate up. I could say $2,000, right? So let's say if I say at $2,000 and it's 791 miles. I've been here all day waiting on you. 791. That's 252. That's 253. That's right there. So I would have to get with Chop Tank when I call them and say, hey, I got a reefer guy. I'm opening up more specifics about the load, by the way, to see if there's any details that I need to share with the carrier, like how many picks and how many drops, things like that. So let's see that. So in this load, and then it gets there the 28th. So the 28th is Friday. So he'll be home by the weekend. So if he took that load, and if I was able to negotiate it up, let's say I negotiated up an extra 1,000. So from 1,450 to 2,500. Just for the sake. That's probably not going to happen, but let's just say. So here's the contact information. There's no special instructions in here, like how many picks and how many drops. But this is what you would do. You would go with the information that you received from your carrier or your potential carrier. You would go look for a load or start to look for a load and see what you come up with right now. Now, he said call him Tuesday and see what's going on. So by Tuesday, this list should get bigger with better loads closer to the day that he wants to move out, or the day that he'll be empty in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is an ideal load because it's taking him right where he stayed, Temple, Texas, and San Antonio, which is like right down in here. Here's Temple, Texas right here. Let's blow this up a little bit. There's Temple, Texas. That's not far from San Antonio. So he came all the way from Nashville down here to Temple, Texas, and then he's home by the weekend. So that's how you would do it. Okay? Any other questions about that? And then any other questions about, like, the conversation that we have with the carriers when you're talking to the carriers? See, it's good to call carriers live on the training so you guys can actually hear and you know, hear the conversation. And see what that dialogue is about. All right, any more write that down. Any more questions? No one has questions? Okay, someone type it here.
Okay.
How many miles is that about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Robert. Can we touch on getting paid?
Yeah. How many miles is that from Nashville to San Antonio? Just hypothetically, whatever.
Well, Nashville to Temple is 791, so I'm thinking it's about 830, 850.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, and then Gigi just said, can we touch on getting paid? So, when your carrier, okay, so here's the workflow. You get a carrier, so we just talked to a carrier. He seemed interested, Gigi, and we sent out, or Mike is going to send out, Mike is going to call him. Mike is going to call him. Mike is going to reach out to him and send him the dispatch agreement and see if he can find him a load and see if he returns the dispatch agreement and see if he can work with him. Let's say he returns it along with the other documents, the W-9, the certificate of insurance, and the MC authority. And if you guys want me to explain why you need those, I will. And then Mike finds the load. Mike books a load with the broker, has that dialogue with the broker, say, hey, I'm looking at a load going from Nashville, Tennessee to Temple, Texas. It's paid $14.50 right now. Can we get it for $24? And through the miracle of Mike's mouthpiece, his game, he'll convince the broker at Chop Tank to bump it up to $2,500. So now the carrier is going to make, say, $2,500 at $7.91, well over $3 a mile. He's going to be satisfied with that. So Mike gets the carrier set up with Chop Tank, and this is for Gigi and anyone else who wants to follow. Gets him set up, the carrier broker agreement, fills that out, get that signed and sent back over along with the other documents, the W-9, the MC authority, and the certificate of insurance. The reason for those documents is that the broker needs to process that information to make sure that the carrier meets their qualifying criteria to be set up with that brokerage. In this example, Chop Tank. Then they will say, okay, you're all set up, you're approved, you got vetted out through our compliance office. Now I'm going to send you the rate confirmation. So now the rate confirmation is nothing more than what the load board stated for the load, where it's going, where it's picking up, how much weight, all the details about the load. The dispatcher signs that and then go from there.
Hello?
Now yes.
Sorry, I didn't know if you could hear me, but I wanted to know, I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to know, so are we taking the $2,500 and dividing it by 741 to come up with 3.37, which is what he's going to get per mile?
Right, so let's say you negotiate that load from $1,450 up to $2,500. So yeah, well, in any case, the math is always the same. When you want to calculate cents per mile, you take the dollar value of the load and you divide it by the loaded miles. So yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm getting it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So yeah, you do that. And then so after he signs the rate confirmation, the dispatcher sends it to the broker signed. Now, whenever you sign anything, if you got your carrier's permission to sign on their behalf, you're signing their name, their information, not yours, because you're the dispatcher. So it's not a broker dispatcher packet or agreement. It's a carrier broker agreement that you're filling out to get the carrier set up with the broker, and you're signing the carrier's name on the rate confirmation to officially book that load and send that back. So now your carrier picks the load up and then delivers the load. Once your carrier delivers the load, they are going to receive what they already have in their possession, their BOL, their bill of lading, when they got it from the shipper. When they go to the shipper, it is in most cases, I'm going to give you an example. In most cases, when you go to a shipper, you pick up the BOL, you officially get loaded at the shipper. They give you a BOL. It's like a carbon copy, and it's 3 pages, right? The shipper signs one piece. The carrier signs the area with the carrier, and the shipper signs their area. Initially, when they get that load, they detail the pallet count, what the load is, where it's going, everything checked out, everything, nothing was damaged, all the pallet counts was right, everything was in good order when I picked the load up. So the shipper signs their carbon copy, the carrier signs by the shipper name, verifying that that was the case. They tear that first carbon copy off, right? The shipper keeps that first one with his signature and the carrier's signature, verifying that what they picked up was what they picked up, right? So now the carrier has 2 pieces left of that carbon copy. There's still a printout of the carbon copy of the shipper's name and the carrier's name at the top, but there's 3 sections on that BOL in some cases, right? The shipper carrier, the receiver carrier, and then the carrier himself. So when the carrier gets to the receiver to deliver that load, now the receiver is checking to make sure that the pallet count is still the same from when the carrier picked the load up at the shipper. And he or she is also checking to make sure that there is no damaged freight or anything like that that would warrant him filing a claim against the carrier. Nothing's damaged, anything like that. So once the pallet count is correct and everything was received in good order, the receiver will sign their area and the carrier will sign verifying that the receiver received everything in good condition. So then they tear their portion off of that carbon copy sheet. So then what's left is the 1 BOL proof of delivery from the carrier, in which they submit either to the broker through their dispatcher or submit to their factory company so they can get paid. Once the carrier is paid for their load, of course you'll know this because as a dispatcher you're following your carrier in this process, but once the carrier is paid, then that's when you invoice your carrier for your percentage. So let's say that $2,500 was the load that you, like that Mike booked this load, and you charge 10%. So of course that's going to be $250. So you're going to invoice your carrier. Now I use PayPal or Square. So whatever invoicing app or software that you have or billing software that you have for your carrier, you create an invoice and then you send it to your carrier, and then your carrier can either pay it if they have a PayPal account or a Square account, or in both cases, Square and PayPal also offers the option to pay with a credit or debit card if you do not have one of their accounts, whether it's a PayPal or whether it's a Square. So we are paid as dispatchers after our carriers have delivered and are getting ready to get paid. I've had cases where my carrier, once they got to the receiver and got their BOL, they said they'll just tell me, go ahead and send me an invoice because I know I'm going to get paid. My factoring company is going to pay me either later on tonight or the next day. I'll go ahead and pay you. So, but that comes in time as you build your relationships with your carriers. So as a beginner dispatcher, you want to, just follow the process, the itemized process. Let your carrier deliver and get his BOL and get paid either by the broker or their factory company, and then you send them your invoice either in whichever software you want to use, either Square, PayPal, or any other invoicing software. QuickBooks. Some people use QuickBooks to invoice. There's an Invoice Home. There's any invoicing ones. I just tend to use the more popular ones because they're effective. So, was that what you were looking for, Gigi?
Yes, that was it. I knew that, and but I just typed in on the agreement. Is there somewhere that says that the carrier has a factoring company when we do the carrier dispatch agreement, so that we know ahead of time that that's how they get paid?
It does not. Now you can put that in your dispatcher agreement, or you can just verbally ask them, like when you, as you're talking to them, you know, like I should have asked so you guys could have heard when I was talking to this gentleman here, you know, do you have a factory company? But that would have been jumping the gun and kind of premature because I haven't even gotten a dispatch agreement back from this person yet. So he probably would have been wondering, well, why is he asking me, do I have a factory company, and I haven't even signed anything with him yet? You know, so you gotta be a little bit careful in that. But you'll know when you get the dispatcher agreement back from this carrier. Let's say for example, this one here. Let's say Mike calls him. He's going to call him Monday, and he gets a dispatch agreement. Let's say Tuesday, because this guy wants a load coming out of Nashville Wednesday. So the quicker he gets the dispatch agreement back, the better. So, and then Mike finds him load and then books the load, and then in that conversation, Mike can ask him, okay, you know, do you have a factory company? Or because when you book that load on the carrier broker packet, it's going to ask you the payment options. It asks the carrier or a dispatcher who's representing the carrier, what payment option do you want to get paid under? So that's where you would ask your carrier, do you want to use the broker's payment options, and it's usually 3, or do you have a factory company? So therein lies the answer right there. When you're booking a load and you get a carrier packet to get set up with a broker, they'll ask you your payment method, or the carrier, the payment method. They'll ask you
Okay,
that.
so it would be redundant if you put it on the dispatch
It
carrier.
would be redundant. Yeah, it would be, and it would be kind of like I wouldn't say it would be jumping the gun, but it's kind of redundant because that question is going to be asked anyway by the brokers because they want to know, how should I pay you? If you have a factory company, then we need the factory company's information. Otherwise, do you want to use one of our 3 services? The brokers offer a 1 to 2 day pay, which is called a quick pay. They charge for these services. They charge for 2 of the 3 services. The 1 to 2 day quick pay, which is at 5% in most cases. The 5 to 7 day wire transfer is called an ACH transfer. ACH stands for Automated Clearing House. It's a wire transfer where they get the carrier's routing number and checking or savings account number where they want to send the money to, wire the money to. That's 5 to 7 days, and they charge 3% for that service. Or the third option that the broker offers is just a paper check mailed to their residence 15, 20, 30 days out. So depending on how long your carrier wants to wait for their money, if they have a need for the money quick, they're going to go with the quick pay option. They're going to pay an extra 5%. Or if they already have a factory company, then that eliminates all of the options of the broker. So, okay, do you follow that?
Yes, I do.
All righty. You have any more questions?
Not at this moment. I'm sure I'll think about it when this is all finished.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, so I see someone had a chat over here. Let me see here. And I'm hoping I'm explaining this as basic as I can. Mike says sometimes your carrier will be in their system, or maybe a half hour. It took me an hour this morning to fill out a carrier packet by hand and to get certificate for broker. So yeah. So Mike brings up a good point. So when you get a new carrier under a dispatch agreement, there may be a chance that, like, let's say we got Chop Tank right here for this load, this broker for this load for this particular carrier that he's looking for, this reefer carrier. So this carrier may already be set up with Chop Tank. So when you call Chop Tank on this load, like for example, when Mike calls and say he wants to book this load, he'll call Chop Tank and say, hey, I'm looking at this Nashville reefer load going from Nashville on the 26th going down to Temple, Texas. Is it still available? They're going to say, let me check. Look at the system. Yeah, it's still available. What's your MC? So Mike's going to give them the MC of the carrier. They're going to type it into their TMS system. TMS stands for Transportation Management Software. It is a database or a customer relationship management system, a CRM, of all the carriers that they and their shippers, but mostly the carriers that they have set up in their system. So if they do a search based off of the MC number, they'll filter that and see if his MC number pops up. If it does, they're going to say, okay, looks like he's already set up with us. And then they're going to go, what do you want to know? They're going to say, okay, Mike's going to say, well, I need some details about the load. Because Mike is going to be looking at this page right here and trying to fill in some of these blanks. Like, what's the commodity? How many stops is it? How many picks? How many drops? Because it doesn't say. Here's the actual miles he's going to be going, 798, as opposed to the practical miles, 791. So as a dispatcher, you want to get as much details, load details for your carrier as possible so they can make an informed decision as to whether they want that load. So when you're on the phone with the broker, you're asking those fill-in-the-blank kind of questions. And we have a cheat sheet in our back office to help you with that, too, when you have certain questions. Because there are a lot of these, some of them are common. You're always going to want to know what are the pickup and delivery dates and times. So what's the commodity? What's the weight? What are the special instructions? And then with particular equipment types, like reefer, for example, how many pickups, how many drops, or how many pickups and how many deliveries. So you need to know this, so when you share that back with your carrier, he can say, okay, it's 3 picks and 4 drops instead of 1450. I want 2500, because he knows when he does more than 1 pick and 1 drop, it's going to take longer because you're sitting at each loading dock conceivably for 2 to 3 hours waiting to get loaded and unloaded. So these are some of the things that you want to be aware of as a dispatcher as well. And then Mike also said it took him like a half an hour, took him an hour this morning to fill out a carrier packet by hand and to get searched for brokers. So, because the broker that Mike was dealing with this morning, apparently they didn't have a web portal where they can send them a link to fill out their carrier packet online. They probably attached a PDF to an email and sent it to Mike, and then he had to print it out, fill it out, and then send it back, like scan it and send it back. And then also he said a certificate for the broker. Some brokers, most brokers, will ask to be made a certificate holder on the certificate of insurance. So what Mike had to do is look on the carrier's certificate of insurance. Let me open up one real quick. See here. So Mike had to do 20 pages right there. He said 20 pages. Yeah, you ask about detention pay and lumper fees to the broker if it is not mentioned in the carrier packet. Some carrier packets mentions it. They'll mention detention pay, paid so much. They'll mention lumper fees, may or may not be included in the rate that they're paying to the carrier. So yeah, you would ask that because you want as much money for your carrier as you can possibly get. So, and then on the what was I going to? I was going to the certificate of insurance to show you the area where Mike was looking for. Go to the website. Mike was looking for the forms. I got a forms and documents area under Dispatcher 101 for carrier packet, certificate of insurance, W-9s, and MC authority. So why is it taking so long? Okay, there we go. So under forms and documents. So Mike mentioned about and you gotta log in if you don't, if it's not open access, it's for members. Mike mentioned he had to do a certificate for the broker. So under forms and documents, it has the forms and documents in this area in the back office. And one of them is the certificate of insurance. On the certificate of insurance, I'm not going to show you, but on the certificate of insurance, it lists at the bottom it has an area where it says certificate holder. Most brokers want to be made while your carrier's under the load, they want to be made a certificate holder on your carrier's insurance. And that's just for protection purposes. So what Mike had to do is call the insurance agent on your carrier's insurance certificate of insurance and let them know, say, hey, I need a certificate of insurance listing the following brokerage or listing the following as the certificate holder. And the insurance agent probably would have said, okay, what's the name of the broker, street address, blah, blah, blah. They would have put that in there in that area and say, who do I need to email or fax this to? Mike told them. Mike probably said, send it to the broker and then CC me a copy of it so I can have it. And that's the process with that. Any other questions? Good information, exactly, okay. No other questions? Hopefully, and then with the, try to mimic follow my example or tweak my example and kind of formulate your own as far as calling the carriers or talking to them, the dialogue and everything. But what I usually do, I just say, hey, can I speak to whatever that person's name is? And they'll say, yeah, this is him or her. I'll say, are you under a load or are you looking for a load? Most cases, they're going to think that you are a broker, but then you introduce yourself, say, well, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatching Services or GG's Dispatching Services or whoever, and then you go into details, you explain it, and then he'll say, yeah, I'm under a load now, but then you say, okay, so if he says he's under a load now, don't end the conversation because you're like, okay, thank you. No, well, ask him, okay, well, when will you be empty? Because now you're letting him know, well, I want to try to find you something. You may be under a load now, but when you get empty, you may be going to an area where it's hard to get loads out of. Or I may be able to help you get you a load, your next load. Like this guy here, he said he's booked all the way till Wednesday. I could have easily ended the conversation, but I said, okay, well, where do you normally go? And he said, well, I'm in the Midwest down in Texas. I said, okay, well, this is your lane. So you got to, as you speak more and more to the carriers, you'll pick up on the terminology and different things to say to them, and they'll understand that you understand what you're talking about too, because his lane is from the Midwest, anywhere in the Midwest for 2 weeks out to Texas, back to Texas. That's his lane. A lane is simply from origin to destination. So it could be Columbus, Ohio down to Texas. It could be Indianapolis down to Texas. It could be Louisville down to Texas. But it's just a one origin or pickup and destination. That is a lane. And then backhaul is something that takes you back to your base. So like he's going to be picking up a load in Michigan and then going to Nashville. And then he said he wants to go back home. So we need to find him a backhaul from Nashville back to his home base, which is San Antonio. We saw a load to Temple. So all right, is everybody okay now? Any questions?
Atlanta.
Hey, Robert.
I'm having problems with my telephone, man.
Oh, that's okay. You can watch the recording.
Yeah. Hey, how long do you think it takes to do a carrier file to the broker? That process of getting a return approval that the carrier is approved and ready to go. How long?
Okay, so you're asking, like, as a dispatcher, when you getting your carrier set up with the brokerage to get approved to run loads, book loads?
Yes. When you contact the broker and they're trying to vet them out or whatever to find out or if they are not an approved carrier. But if they are not an approved carrier, how long do you think it takes to set that file up with a broker?
Well, it depends on the brokerage, and it depends on whether your carrier's information is updated enough to get them through fast. And their TMS system, just like Mike says, it depends. So let's say, for example, your carrier has his updated insurance, his MC authority is active and is good, and his W-9 is good. So now it falls on the broker side. Your carrier has everything they need. Everything's lined up on his side. So now it's generally between, I would say, a half an hour to an hour for most good brokerages to put all that information into the system, vet it out, run it through their compliance team, because they're going through their compliance team to make sure all that data that your carrier or that you provided as a dispatcher for your carrier, the W-9, the certificate of insurance, and the MC authority, make sure that that data is vetted through the CSA and the compliance to make sure that everything meets the standard for that brokerage. That's between 30 minutes to an hour that they get an answer back. Sometimes sooner. I've seen a broker. I booked a load with a broker where, well, actually, I take that back. It was a direct shipper. I'm sorry. All they needed was the person's MC number and sent over the documents. They pre-booked the load, and they said, well, just send me the documents later. I just need this load taken out. That was a direct shipper. That was a farmer a couple of years ago. But typically, it's about 30 minutes to a half an hour, because the standard is everything gets plugged into a transportation management software, a TMS system, and processed through, ran through compliance, gets approved, and then the broker will contact you or the carrier if they're dealing directly with the carrier and say, yeah, you've been approved, or no, you haven't been approved, and this is the reason why. And it could be outdated insurance. Whatever the reason is, if you still want that load in time before he gives it to someone else, then you would get those problems fixed, right? So let's say, for example, your carrier's insurance policy date it expires tomorrow, right? And you're trying to book a load for them within the next couple of days. So you would call the carrier's insurance agent and say, hey, can you send me an updated policy to my email so I can book this load for my carrier in the next couple of days? And they'll go ahead and do that. Do we use a TMS system for anything? I have a TMS system. I use it sometimes to organize but here's an example of a TMS system. Ascend Transportation Management Software. The purpose of it is mainly on the broker side. They keep track of their loads, their shippers, their assets, their contracted carriers, billing. So it's a combination of a CRM and a CMS. A CRM is a customer relationship management software, and a CMS is a content management software. So this is a basic plan for Ascend. This is the dashboard right here. It gives you some data here. The average highway diesel mile is $2.91, and that's down 5 cents from last week. Here's the current rates for the dry vans, $1.81 a mile, and that's down 2 cents from last week. Reefer is $2.13. And that's been steady since last week. And then flatbeds is $2.15. It's up a penny from last week. So it's giving you the price of loads in real time. Then you have other things. You have loads. You can build your load in this here for the TMS system. This is from the broker side now. Keep this in mind. From a dispatcher side, you might only use the TMS to keep track of your carriers, which is right here. You might add a carrier. If you want to keep an itemized and organized way of track of your carriers, you can put them in a like I have my logo here, Exodus Logistics. You can add a carrier there. So carriers and assets are the same thing. Customers from a broker side, that's their shippers. Okay. EDI. EDI is an electronic data interchange. So when brokers get loads from shippers, sometimes the shippers can transfer those loads in bulk to the broker's TMS system through what's called an EDI transfer. So they send the load tenders through EDI into the TMS system of the broker. So when the broker builds a load, all they have to do is enter some information, and all the other data is already pre-entered into those fields because they were electronically transferred through EDI. That's all that means. Okay? Then you have locations, you have rates. So rates, there's a good thing about rates. They have a feature called InstaRate. You can click this and look up. Let's look up this. So Nashville, Tennessee to, let's say, Texas. Let's say Temple, Texas. Temple, Texas for a, what was he, a reefer, right? You can get some rates in the TMS system right here. This data right here. The rate located, the line haul is $1.89, and the fuel surcharge is 39 cents. So if you add those two together, $1.89 plus the 39-cent fuel surcharge on top of that is $2.28. So that's below what that carrier was asking for. He was asking for $2.50, so that's the all-in rate. The high all-in rate is 23. That low we saw on the load board was $14.50, so it was below the low rate, the low all-in. So, but that's a good feature here. InstaRate is showing the location here, 792 miles. So the basic version of Ascend is free. You just got to log in and set it up with your account information. The premium version you're paying for, I think it's $49 a month. It has more updated features like Robert just mentioned. But the purpose of the Ascend is for you to use as a good organizational tool. Mike says only when you blow your business up, or blow your business starting out, you don't have to have a correct. There is a monthly fee for TMS. Yes, it is a monthly fee. The basic one is free, but the monthly one, TMS, the premium is called Premium Plan. So if you hit right here, Upgrade Now. Let's hit Upgrade Now. So it's $59 a month. $59 a month. And then you enter your card information, begin premium subscription, and receive 100 free credits and all this other stuff. So premium features and billing dates, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to upgrade. So it went up, actually. Go back to the dashboard. All right? But you don't have to use this TMS system to organize your care. You can just put it in a spreadsheet or an Excel spread or an Excel file, spreadsheet. You know, you don't have to update it. Only when you get to a point where you have a lot of carriers, where you need to organize them and keep them itemized and go to the data quickly, you put it in reporting, document management, accounting. It has all types of features. It even has sections here where you can learn. You can learn things about the transportation industry. It has tutorials, so trainings. All right, let me log out of here. Any other questions? I hope this training helped get some basic information for you guys. All right. Okay, I think that's it for this evening. If there aren't any more questions, of course, this will be uploaded. This video will be uploaded to the back office training videos section of the portal. I may put it on YouTube, I may not. And then, of course, let me put my information as I always do. For those who will be interested in joining this platform and getting some more formal training, that's my phone, and my email is coming shortly here. And I may be offering some specials as well, lowering the prices, removing subscription in some cases, and enhancing the back office a little bit too. So, if there are not any more questions, yep, keep it private, members only. Agreed. And Mike, hopefully you got the gentleman's phone number and information off the screen. Let's see. Someone had a comment here. Okay, Mike. Good. I figured that. All right. All right, guys. The next training, the next live training, but you could ask questions prior to the next live training, which will be Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to Facebook and join the Dispatcher 101 Facebook group, and then request to be added to the chat group, which is a lot of information there. And then subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners. All that spread out. Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners. Subscribe to that. There's content there as well. Try to keep everything from a basic perspective, because once you establish a basic perspective, you establish your foundation, and experts are only masters of the basics. So once you get the basics down, getting the concept of talking to the carriers, convincing them to do agreement with you, and then getting to the point where you booking the loads with the broker, the rest will be easy. Finding the loads, the first hurdle is getting that carrier. Once you get the carrier and get comfortable moving the loads with that carrier, everything else will pretty much fall into play. Plus the fact that this network here, this platform here, can keep you rolling on that perspective as well. So thanks, Mike. Can't go wrong with Charles training people. Yeah, I try to give it to you in real time, calling carriers in real time, speaking to them. Like, I didn't know that guy from Adam. There's other ways to get carriers, though. Remember, if you have a, blessings, Gigi, if you have a truck stop near your area where you live, let's say within a 25-mile, 30-mile radius, go to those areas. Pass out your flyers of your business, or just talk to them, conversate. Say, hey, I'm a dispatcher, you're a carrier, you're owner-operator. Now, if they're a company driver, they may already have an internal dispatch team, but if they're an owner-operator with their own authority and DOT, then you can talk to them, try to find them loads, conversate with them. Of course, the cold calling, is also a good resource. And I will continue, every training I will continue to call carriers so I can constantly feed into your guys' psyche of how it's done and to help you guys break the ice, especially for those who do not like calling, doing cold calls. We can also have mock trainings where I could pretend to be a carrier and you guys can actually call me and we can go over your conversation. I don't even like to use the word script anymore. So we can do a role play. We'll do that Sunday. So whoever wants to be a dispatcher, I'll be the carrier and you can call me as a carrier and you be the dispatcher and we can do the role play and we'll see how you sound. Jacqueline did it. I think Jacqueline did it before. That's the Jacqueline. You're the one with the soothing voice, right? So, yeah, we can do a role play, and that's what we might do. We'll role play, and then I'll actually call a real carrier afterwards, and then we'll compare and contrast how it goes. Okay. So we'll role play a few times with people who want to break that ice and get out of their comfort zone and get into actually speaking to the carriers and what to say and how to say it. And I'm going to be a tough carrier. There's no point in me being an easy carrier for you. I'm going to ask you the tough questions and see where you stand. So do your homework. And, of course, prior to Sunday, if you have a question that you think needs answered in regards to how I'm going to come at you as a tough carrier, you're more than welcome to shoot that question to me or to the Facebook Dispatcher 101 chat group or however. But I'm going to be a tough carrier, so we'll role play a few times and then we'll actually call it a real carrier like we did before. I may even ask one of you, like I did Jacqueline last training, to call a carrier. We'll select a carrier, we'll call them, we'll vet them out, and then we'll call them. So what better way to train to actually show you what it is that you're actually going to be doing eventually yourselves, right? I don't want to just talk you to death. We want to do it. We want to actually do it. And then once we get past the point where we have a carrier, now we're moving on to the next phase. We can start our trainings live on, let's find some loads. We have the resources. We have the load boards in the back office for the members. Let's find the loads and then keep the carrier moving. And then we talk to each other, help each other, work on strategies to keep the carrier moving effectively. So that's the whole point of Dispatcher 101 training for beginners platform. So, all right. All right, till Sunday, guys, at 11 Eastern Standard Time. You guys have a good night. It's snowing over here in Virginia. It's going to be a snowstorm, so I'm kind of preparing for that. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, Doc.
Check the Facebook page.
Okay.